Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And please show some respect to the speakers, make some noise, and please welcome John McAfee on the stage.
How many of you are panicking right now? Don't. We all have lost, at least in our minds, a great deal of our capital in the past 24 hours. But this is nonsense. And I'm just briefly, this is not my talk. I'm just going to briefly explain, as I see it, what happened. JP Morgan, which is America's largest bank, in September said that Bitcoin was a fraud. I don't know if you guys remember that. Bitcoin was at about $5,000. It dropped to $3,000 in a matter of hours. Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan, went on CNBC and said Bitcoin's a fraud, and here's why. I went on the following day and I said, no, the US dollar is a fraud, and here's why. Because it is. Okay. I'm a very large Bitcoin miner. We're running about 6,000 S9s. So I know what it costs to produce a Bitcoin. And not that the value of Bitcoin has any relationship with cost, but at least it's some measure. You know, it cost me over $2,000 to create a Bitcoin today. What does it cost to create a $100 bill? I calculated 6 cents. So which one is the fraud? So don't pay any attention to this. It's going to come back. So yesterday, another JP Morgan employee, a very well-known investment counselor, said that governments are going to ban all cryptocurrencies. Well, that's a great thing to say, but how? Tell me how. How can you regulate something? How can you create a law that cannot be enforced? I mean, for example, smoking marijuana is illegal in almost every state in America, yet you see people doing it constantly. Why? It cannot be enforced. Neither can you enforce the non-use of cryptocurrencies. It is distributed. And more important, it is permissionless. I don't need anybody's permission to send somebody an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or a Monero, and neither do you. And you need nobody's permission to receive it. So how is it going to be done? I have no clue. In China, where they have banned all of the exchanges, do you think the Chinese people still don't use Bitcoin and Ethereum? Of course they do. You cannot stop it. Make all the laws that you want. So all this is saying is that the people at JP Morgan have no clue about what the blockchain is and what cryptocurrencies are. And they can make all the noise that they want. They're America's largest bank, and therefore they have the greatest fear. Because who is going to disappear first when cryptocurrencies reach the mainstream? The banks. So anyway, I'll shut up about that. I want to stand up here. I like it. I see the beach better. So I came here ostensibly to talk about the newer cryptocurrencies. I read 50 or 60 white papers every single week. It's a nightmare. And some of them are 50 pages long. 90% of them are scams. Of that remaining 10%, half are total nonsense. But there are some gems within it. Now people go, well, we have enough cryptocurrencies. You've got Ethereum. You have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is maybe a store of value. Ethereum is used by almost everybody to transfer or to buy, sell, and exchange. Monero, why use Monero? Because everybody on the dark web uses Monero to sell everything from illegal drugs to monkeys from India that are illegal to be traded. So they should be enough, you say. Utter total nonsense. Why will cryptocurrencies expand almost infinitely? For the simple reason that each has its own worth and its own purpose. I'll give you some examples. One of the, anybody who's ever on my Twitter account, I get trashed all the time for, quote, promoting things. However, in reading all of these white papers, there are gems that come out that no one will ever see. And as time moves on and we have more and more cryptocurrencies and more ICOs, fewer and fewer people will ever know what these gems are. If you look at what I quote promoted or recommended or say, look at this, they're all beautiful things. I mean, things like outings. Okay, what is outings? It's an application that if you want to take your family out for a Sunday afternoon, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you have the app. And you say, well, I'm interested in street artists, mimes, street musicians, painters, whatever. Or I want to go to a bar where I can see a celebrity. All right, so anybody else who has this app, let's say you're in a high-end bar in LA and Tom Cruise is there. You can go, hey, Tom Cruise is here. All right? Everybody who says, I want to come, where is this? You're going to spend 50 cents or $1 in these outings tokens, of which you get a large percentage. Now, does Ethereum do this? No. Bitcoin? No. Monero? Absolutely not. And there are thousands of these coming out every few months. Now, another one, and please forgive me for this, and my own morality probably is not yours. I was contacted by an outfit called Pink Date, a collection of prostitutes in America who own their own token. Now, the reason for this is obvious, okay? If you happen to use these tokens, your wife is not going to see it on your bill each month on your credit card or anything else. I'm doing this for free. Why? Because if we're going to bring the entire world into the cryptocurrency field, can't leave anybody out, I'm sorry. And so every single activity, every purpose, every interest in life is going to get its own coin. It is. This is just the facts of life. So how do you manage this? You go, well, geez, this is impossible. I'm going to have 5,000 wallets. No. We're going to see something equivalent to the development of the operating system for personal computers in the 1980s. For example, a printer driver. Okay? How many of you are software engineers and know anything about software? Good, I'll talk to you folks for one thing. Okay, so a printer driver is a piece of software that controls a specific type of printer. Now, when you print something, you don't need to know what that driver does, where it resides, how big it is, how often it's updated. You have a thing called the operating system, which manages this for you. The same thing for your disk drive, for your modem, for everything that you do, your location. The same thing is going to happen in the crypto world. Call it what you want, meta wallets, or a meta crypto system that will take whatever you want to input, Ethereum's, US dollars, and it will manage, as you go through life, every one of your activities that the cryptocurrency facilitates. Now that sounds like madness, but I promise you, I've been in this business, well, I've been in the software business all my life. And I know how things move, and I know how things grow, and I know how they coalesce. And I'm watching exactly the same thing in the cryptocurrency world that I saw starting in the 1960s with large supercomputers and moving into personal computers in the early 80s. This is going to come. It will. It will have to, else we won't have a cryptocurrency world. It will be unmanageable. And those of you who say we do not need these new currencies, you simply have not thought it through. You've maybe never met a prostitute, or you've never gone on an outing and wished you knew where the street musicians were. So it will happen, and it is happening now. And this distribution, this peer-to-peer concept that gives us so much power without needing anyone's permission will continue to grow and coalesce. So as you look into the future, you watch for these platforms that start managing large numbers of other coins in a meaningful way. Not just an exchange, but something that understands the purpose of that coin. Like the operating system understands the purpose of a printer driver, or a modem interface, or the interface to the location device on your smartphone. So this is coming, all of it. Again, those of you who know anything about my Twitter page, about 99 out of every 100 comments, and there are thousands per day, are negative. If it were not, I would not be doing my job, would I? If they're all positive, I would simply be with the status quo. And the complaints are, you're promoting coins, you're promoting ICOs. Well, you call it what you want. I read hundreds of these white papers every day. if I see something like outings, I go, God damn, I want that. You should want that. We all are going to have a lot of fun if this comes to fruition. What am I supposed to do? Buried under my mattress? No. I'm sure as fuck going to say something to you about this. And I do. And then people go, oh, you're promoting. If there's a coin that I think has value and should stick around, half of the coins ever produced are dead coins. They're not used by anybody. Well, I don't want these good ones to fall into that status just because there is such a sea of possibilities that they get lost underneath the trash. So of course I'm going to say something. I want to piss everybody else off. Okay, if I don't promote Verge, the entire Verge community is going to come down on my head. That's fine with me. I spent 2 months evading an entire army in Central America. That was good. Can I do it? An entire army. So do you think angry words are going to bother me? No, they do not. So yes, I will continue to do this in spite of people going, you're manipulating markets or whatever you're doing. So be aware that the current state of cryptocurrency with the large Bitcoins and Ethereums and Moneros and everything else is going to change radically. Not that these currencies will disappear, they have their purpose. It seems to me like Bitcoin really is becoming a store of value. That's fine. Ethereum really is becoming a means of payment. And Monero really is becoming a way to hide what you do from the world. And this is an important point. You think that's bad? You know, the government say if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. That's utter nonsense. We all have something to hide. It's just from whom? Didn't pay all of your taxes, you're hiding something from the IRS. You're having an affair, you might be hiding something from your spouse. You called in sick on Friday and you were actually playing golf, you might have something to hide from your boss. We all have something to hide. And our financial affairs are those things that we keep closest to the breast. Those things that we don't want to hide, we just don't want it known. I don't want people getting into my bank account and knowing how much money I have, where it came from, and what I'm doing with it. It's nobody's business but mine. Certainly not anybody here, and even sometimes not even my wife's. So it's my business. We are all the same here. So privacy is the one thing which is going to drive cryptocurrencies beyond anything else. Now, who is that going to piss off? Anybody? Everybody's asleep. It's going to piss off governments. Why? Because governments derive most of their income from income taxes and taxes on the sales of goods and services. If governments cannot find out where your money is coming from and from whom, or how much you have or what you did with it, how can they tax it? All the legislation in the world will not get the government into your personal computer or your phone or your offline device to find out what you have done. Sure, you can pick and choose and randomly maybe arrest a few people. It's not going to stop this movement. But governments are going to be pissed off and they're going to try everything. This movement is a war. You need to understand this. It is a war against the established dynasty of power around the world. And those that currently have the power, like the banks, if banks do not adopt this in some meaningful fashion, they will disappear. If governments do not understand that they must find alternate means of revenue, governments will collapse. Facing this, do you think this is going to be an easy revolution? We can sort of wander around and dance in the fields? No, we can't. What happened yesterday with JP Morgan was a shot across the bow. See if we can collapse all cryptocurrencies with one fell swoop. A very powerful, influential person saying, governments are going to shut it all down. Yeah, it had an impact, but it's coming back, and it will continue to come back. Just like Jamie Dimon saying Bitcoin is a fraud. Bitcoin dropped 40%. 2 weeks later, it was 20% above what it was before the statement was made. You cannot stop this movement. You cannot impede it in any meaningful way, but you will have to fight for it. On days like today, you've got to be strong and say, well, screw it, it's going to come back. If we panic and we all sell, what does happen? Exactly what the banks want us to do. Collapse ourselves through our own fear. Hang on, nothing bad is happening. Now, what I like to do is speak for a couple of minutes like I have, and then answer the difficult questions that all of you are burning to ask me, I hope. If not, I can sing a little. Anybody with a question, please raise your hand. Yes, sir. I'm really hard of hearing. Can you come forward?
Stand up, please, and introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
You're Rob? Yes, sir.
So, one thing I've been noticing is that...
Can you come a little closer, Rob? I'm 72 and can barely hear.
Look, John, one thing I've been realising and seeing is there's this huge redistribution of wealth going on, right? So, you know, I'm seeing just young guys that are making $30,000 a month just doing affiliate marketing, you know, and then traders making ridiculous amounts of money. I mean, I'm making good money, you know, and a year ago I wasn't, and this is rife. So, you know, when you have a big redistribution of wealth, right, there's social and political ramifications. Like, you know, when we had royalty and, you know, redistribution of wealth went to bankers, there was all sorts of political and social ramifications. What's going to happen? I mean, this is a new world economy. It's a new world developing. What's this new world going to look like?
It's going to look nothing like this world. It's going to be upside down. For example, what period of history ever had 15-year-olds being multimillionaires? Well, you can't count the number of them in the crypto world. Why? The kids are very perceptive. They don't have all this history that the older people like me have, and so they catch on really, really fast. They hang out with the Reddit community and others, and they start listening, and they go, well, this coin's going to rise. They take $25 from their allowance, and a week later they've got $2,500. They roll that over, and 6 months later, literally, they're multimillionaires. This has never happened. It's happening every minute of today's world. So what's that going to look like? Good God. Do you want your 13-year-old child to rule the world? Probably not. So you better get on it too. So everything will be completely flipped upside. The banks, for example, that control almost everything, our interest rates, are going to have no power because we're not going to use them. What is an Ethereum wallet? It's a bank. It's your bank. And you may have multiple ones on every device that you have. You can do the equivalent of wire transfers. How long does it take to do an Ethereum transaction, assuming you have a decent internet connection? Seconds. I want to wire money, I want to send money to someone around the world. In a few seconds, it's there. I don't have to get out of bed, get in my car, drive to the bank, fill out forms, give information, and wait 24 hours or 48 for that money to arrive. Now, here is something very critical you need to understand. Why is the cryptocurrency world so volatile and so quick to make millionaires and to lose millionaires? Because time is compressed. Take the average graph from any stock market on the New York Stock Exchange and look at it over time. You don't have these massive spikes. Why? Because it does take 24 hours to do a wire. Because it does take time to interface with this massive centralized system to accomplish anything. If transactions are being processed and reprocessed in milliseconds, what's going to happen? The prices are going to skyrocket. They are going to be volatile, and they are going to be compressed, which is why 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds who truly understand this can go, I see what's happening here. I could invest in the company my dad works for and make 10% in a year, or I can do something myself and make 10% in a minute. Time is compressed in this digital world of cryptocurrencies. Please see the impact and the import of understanding this one thing. It explains why people, oh my God, it's so volatile, it's going to collapse. No, it's just like anything else. It's just compressed by a factor of 1,000. So instead of getting 10% per year, as you would on the stock market, I have a public company, MGT, we're one of the world's largest miners of Bitcoins. Our stock is, if it grows 50% this year, we're going to be lucky. Find me a cryptocurrency that has not on a given day grown 400% on a certain day. They all have. Time compressed. The amount of money you can make compressed. And the amount of money you can lose also compressed. Now on paper, boy, have I lost a lot of money in the past 24 hours. I haven't sold anything and have no intention of it. In 2 months, I'll still be way ahead of where I was before, and so will you. Because of this compression. You can wait things out. It doesn't take long to wait it out. So, I hope that answers the question. I think I didn't got my question. I've gone off on a tangent, but thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
We have a mic here. Let me just bring it down 1 second.
Thanks, John. I'm Slava. I'm from Ukraine, actually from Satoshi School with Jörg Moltke here. John, I would like to ask you, 15 years ago, suddenly we started hearing that if your company does not have a website presence, then probably it doesn't exist for the world, okay?
It doesn't have what, sir?
If your 15 years ago, we started hearing this all over the place. If your company doesn't have a website, okay, then it probably doesn't exist for this world. Nobody knows about it, okay? So, do you think in the future it's going to be the same as cryptocurrencies? Like if your company doesn't have a cryptocurrency, then it probably doesn't exist, Every company would sell their products with their own currency? Or you think there's going to be like 2 or 3 currencies that's going to evolve and become like the major currencies in the world?
Okay, let me go back to my analogy with operating systems. Okay, if I manufacture printers or any device that interfaces with a mainframe, with a laptop, with your phone, then obviously I'm going to write the code for that device, am I not? Because I understand what my device or my product needs, right? Now, with an operating system, that is limited to the functionality of the product itself. With cryptocurrencies and smart contracts, it's going to relate to every aspect of your business. So of course, if you do not have a cryptocurrency that folds into this, whatever you want to call it, meta wallet, or the god of all the currencies, that organizes and arranges them just like an operating system does, then yes, I think you're going to be left out, absolutely. And you're going, my God, that's going to be hundreds of thousands of coins. Do you care? Large operating systems have hundreds of thousands of subroutines. Some of them each written by different people. Do you care? You don't even know about it. The operating system takes care of it for you. The meta wallet will take care of this for you. All you do is throw money into it in whatever form you want, Ethereum, Bitcoins, Moneros, cash, dollars, who cares, credit cards, and it will take care of everything. Your location, the things that you need, to say that what you say to Sunday, and when I go on an outing, it will activate the outing module. Okay, if I have a house that's off the grid, it'll activate the KWH coin, which is a coin used to transfer electricity virtually from any part of the world to another. Beautiful concept. So these things are going to change the world and empower companies. And if companies do not have a coin that it encompasses every aspect of their business, from marketing to sales to service to running the actual product, then yes, they will disappear.
Thanks.
You can have the mic. Anyone else?
Excuse me, Mr. McAfee. My name is Anton. I'm from Kazakhstan, Almaty. The question is, continuing the previous speaker, what do you think, let's suppose in like 5-10 years, a lot of countries will issue their own currencies, cryptocurrencies. Is it going to be like Bitcoin or multi-basket cryptocurrency portfolio, which will substitute fiat money? And if it's going to be like Bitcoin, because I know your forecast is about like $1 million in a couple of years, would you support also the idea that Bitcoin will cost more than $5-10 million? Because now cryptocurrency industry, blockchain is just disrupting the world economy. So it's going to grow.
Let me answer your first question first, which is, will governments issue their own cryptocurrencies? The way I see the blockchain being applied to the world, it has to be applied in a practical, useful, beneficial way. Everything. Whether it's entertainment, which I discussed, or power, or what have you. It has to be applied in a beneficial, productive, positive way. Tell me what there is about government that meets any of those conditions. All right, so they may issue them. I do not think they will be adopted. They may issue them not to facilitate our use of governments, because I have not found the use for the U.S. government yet, other than take my money, tell me what to do. It has to be adopted to have any power. And I'm sorry, the second question, I forgot again.
The second question was, would you support that if it might be Bitcoin as like the world reserve, some kind of model of which will substitute dollar and euro, whatever? Do you support that it's going to cost more than $1 million as was your forecast like for a couple of years?
Well, the actual price of Bitcoin doesn't matter. If you're able to sell partial or fractional pieces of it, I can send you a millionth of a Bitcoin if I want, quite easily. I do not think there will be one currency that becomes the world currency. Why? Every currency has a different utility. Ethereum, super fast, has smart contract capabilities. Monero, super private. You can't find out what I'm doing. Bitcoin, let's store our value here. So no, I just can't see it being one.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, so the gentleman in the purple, in the blue shirt with the yellow. I'm sorry. Did you already have the mic, sir? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Shrikant from India. Current scenario of Bitcoin mining is that it's causing a lot of pollution, because a lot of places they're using bad electricity, or you can call it like not green energy. So what kind of scenario?
Transaction process. So the problem will be self-correcting. In the meantime, move out of areas where we're mining Bitcoin. What can I say? Anyone else?
May I ask a question?
Who? Oh, yes, of course, sir.
John, first of all, thank you for your answers. My name is Bogdan, and I'm from Russia, Moscow. I have a question about newcomers into the cryptocurrency world. And to my personal opinion, they have three possibilities to lose their money. First of all, they can lose part of their money, they can lose all their money, and they can lose their future profit. What do you think, how can they hedge the risks when coming into the new, this new infrastructure, new for them?
Well, I would like to say that given the age of cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, we are all newcomers. I'm sorry, sir, but it is true. And as much experience as I have in software and computers, I continually lose money by doing something stupid late at night while I'm half asleep. Putting the wrong wallet address, I don't know whose address it was, some bunch of Ethereum went somewhere, God knows where, it's now lost in space, out ordered in Pluto, or someone is spending it in Pakistan, I don't know. So we're all newcomers. Number two, there doesn't need to be this risk. We as a community have the power to build the infrastructure so that you cannot do stupid things like input the wrong address. There should be names for every wallet address instead of a string of incomprehensible numbers which all begin to look alike after midnight. No, we can do things which will prevent us from making these mistakes. So we just haven't done it. It has grown so fast. We're all interested in building our own currency or making money or collecting or understanding. We have to understand that newcomers, including us, are going to continue to lose money until we provide the security and the ease of use and the user interface, which makes it virtually impossible to hurt yourself. What we've done with automobiles, I remember in America in the 1960s, Ford had a steering wheel with a sharp cone in the middle of it. So, and no seatbelts, by the way. So we fix that problem. We can fix this problem. I think I'm out of time.
We have 5 more minutes.
Oh, we do? I want the snappy questions.
Hey John, my name is Tristan from Philadelphia, United States. My question is, what are your thoughts on companies that are looking to integrate blockchain technology and tokens into their existing business models that are profitable, as opposed to companies who are raising money for a future business model that solely integrates blockchain and have never had a normal business money?
Okay, you're from Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yeah, I spent 2 weeks there one night. So it's a very fun town. Okay, so existing companies have to continue to exist. We don't want them to tear themselves apart and rebuild themselves. So there has to be a way, and there is ways. I look at Walmart, who is integrating the blockchain into their supply chain problem. And the supply chain problem is one of the worst problems any business could ever face, especially large companies like Walmart, where you've got, just to build a rattan chair, you have 50 different steps it has to go through with transportation and deliveries and so on. So, but they're doing it without changing their business model greatly, but by greatly improving upon it to the point that it's almost impossible with the blockchain to say, oh, I didn't get my delivery, that's why I didn't deliver it to you. Because everybody had changed it. Yes, you did. We know the date and the time and the hour. So that's one thing. However, the most competitive companies will be the new ones that are starting from scratch. And the older companies are going to have to figure it out, you know, by either distributing themselves, by breaking themselves up into pieces, like AT&T and IBM did back in the 80s, or in some other method. But yes, there's room for both.
Hi, John. I'm here.
Sorry. The voice is behind me here. So.
Sorry. It's Jacques here from Bitmart.co.za from South Africa. Earlier you mentioned that a lot of ICOs and stuff that you look at is purely scams and stuff. So we in South Africa experience a lot of people that enter the market that we don't know of, and then they get scammed in, you know, pyramid schemes, hardware selling, a bunch of stuff. The industry is not regulated in that sense. How do you foresee or suggest this type of industry that longs and, you know, doesn't want to get regulated, you know, protect people that want to get involved, that put their toe in the water and then get scammed and take the whole foot out, and then they go and tell everyone Bitcoin is a scam?
Okay, this is a very tricky question, which I don't think anybody has solved satisfactorily to everyone's satisfaction. But my own personal opinion is, we are all adults here, are we not? You are responsible for your decisions. And to create a centralized agency that says, well, you're a scam, and you're a scam, but you're not a scam, and you might be a scam. And in order to protect people, we're going to put barriers up. I'm sorry, that's not distributed processing. It is not peer-to-peer, and it's certainly not permissionless. And so I can't get behind that. However, I use a bunch of hackers in Chicago for all the ICOs that I want to say, take a look at this, because Jesus, there's so many out there, and these hackers go in, they find out what your last email address was and how many websites you put together, and whether or not you believe in aliens or whatever. And they look at your code and your white paper to see if you have plagiarized from somebody else. You know, we all can't do that. However, I tell the world when I find out about them. So, you know, we are the adults. You have to fend for yourself. If you've made a mistake, learn from it and get on about your life. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, John.